All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on Sunday night. We got a little Sunday night football here. I'm joined by one Matt Belman, who is fresh off a Cleveland Browns victory here, taking solace in that. I just saw something come across the screen that said my Seattle Seahawks allowed 450 some yards today and trailed the entire game. So our teams are going in opposite directions these days. What's going on, Mr. Bellman? We missed you last night for basketball.
Yeah, I know. I did the Friday show instead. So my wife was like, you cannot do the Saturday and the Friday show. So I had to get off one of them. Tell it to the boss, that old saying goes. And yeah, as far as Seattle and the Browns go, I feel like that's just typical NFL. One week a team looks amazing, the next week they don't. Fans around Cleveland right now are like, could the Browns win 9 in a row now and potentially go to the playoffs? No, they could not. Like, it's just not going to happen. They played very well today, but the ebbs and flows of the NFL are real. Seattle was actually surprised they didn't put up more of a fight today, coming off that big win last week against Atlanta. Buffalo's good, though. Like, Buffalo is one of the few teams that's, I think, a cut above the rest. I think there's 4 or 5 of those teams, and then, like, most of the other teams, and then some maybe 4 or 5 real crappy teams. And I think Seattle is on the upper half of that middle. Cleveland right now is probably in the lower half.
I would agree on that one. It's Seattle. It's the any given Sunday, right? We saw some surprising outcomes today, but in the grand scheme of the season, they're not that surprising. So
Right.
it just makes things interesting. And then tonight out of nowhere, we got a wrinkle thrown at us. First off, Dalvin Cook was elevated from the practice squad. So there was questions about could Ezekiel Elliott potentially be inactive tonight? No, it's Rico Dowdle who has a flu or something that just came up. So that I guess is going to make things interesting, at least from a decision point here, because that just created a whole bunch of salary relief with Dalvin Cook coming in, and particularly on DraftKings, where I think he's just $1,000. He's not even in the player pool on Yahoo for whatever reason, or at least I can't find him in here as I'm trying to set my one season long lineup there. But yeah, that's a bit of a surprise because this is not something that even seemed to be on the horizon for Dallas. So we're going to start there just because that's the most interesting talking point that we have tonight. So as you guys, as you're coming on in here, hit that like button. We always enjoy that. It'd be fun if you guys subscribe to our channel. We just crushed it over 100,000 subscribers here. So now we have 2 channels under the Stokastic umbrella with over 100,000 subscribers. That's pretty cool. But we're going to be talking to you tonight about DFS. We'll throw in a little sports wagering, perhaps, just to keep things interesting. But a couple good promos that are almost over that we'll hit on as well. But it's all football right now. So the big exciting news, or the Apple, I don't know, the exciting is the right word, but clearly it looks like the Super Bowl window is rapidly closing here for San Francisco. Reminder to set the stage, or setting the stage for them. They lost Brandon Ayuk last week to a knee injury. Deebo Samuels played 4 snaps, and then he spent 2 days in the hospital with pneumonia. You have Jawan Jennings out with an injury. You have Jordan Mason not on the final injury report, but he was dealing with the shoulder issue. On the Dallas side, no Brandon Cooks. He's on the injured reserve. A whole host of their defenders are out with injuries. And then now Rico Dowdle is out with an illness. So we had seen this kind of 3-headed monster come together here and become the Dallas backfield. It looked like it was Dowdle that was sort of in the lead role, but he only played half the snaps. I think in one game. Every other game he was like below 40% on the season. He's averaging 43% for the whole year. You had Elliott playing on 33% of the snaps, but he only had one good game, and that was back in week 1. He is doing a fair amount of pass blocking. And then Hunter Lupke, who's kind of a fullback, but they aren't really using him like a fullback. They're using him in pass protection out of the backfield, right? That's something that you wouldn't be normally seeing. But it's partly due to the offensive line woes. But Lupke has just 2 fewer snaps than Elliott. So half the snaps are now open here in the backfield. I don't know who they're going to go to. You have Dalvin Cook, who sort of washed out in with the Jets. He was kind of waiting for the phone to ring. Dallas brought him in this offseason, and he was going to be sort of their backup. But then we didn't hear anything about it, did we?
Forgot about Jets legend Dalvin Cook. And it reminded me of Ravens legend Dalvin Cook.
So how excited are we? We're excited that we have an RB2 that's $1,000 that'll probably get 6 to 8 touches and is likely to need a touchdown to get more than a handful of fantasy points. But that is DFS. I mean, we got a surprise on Thursday when Cooper Kupp's back, and then all of a sudden so was Puka Nacua, right? So it's a fun sport, this DFS world here. So starting with the backfield here, don't you think that the Jones, I forget the son's name, but don't you think they were wishing they would have had Kareem Hunt instead of Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, probably. I don't think. Yeah, maybe. Although, I mean, Kareem Hunt walked into the perfect situation for him. So who knows if that would have been what would have happened in Dallas. But yeah, fair point. And the only thing I'll say about Dalvin Cook here, kind of in addition to what you said, his RB1 is Ezekiel Elliott. So it's not like he's got, the most dangerous path to getting more carries. Like Zeke is washed too. So the Zeke Cook backfield, man, if this were 2018, Cowboys would be sitting pretty. It's hard not to like Cook though at 1K, considering Dowdle's out, Zeke is still Zeke. I mean, they're both wildly in play. I actually think Dallas is really competitive, if not win this game. So yeah, I like both running backs for the Cowboys.
So, okay, well, now we know what we're going to talk about for the last 10 minutes or so once we get done with the DFS portion, because if you feel that strongly about it, then I'm kind of glad I didn't take my my lonely one sports book that I have here in Florida had an offer where if the 49ers won by 7, the spread is about 4.5 or 5, depending on where you look. If they won by 7, they moved it up to like plus 155 or something. It was like a 25% booster there. I'm kind of glad I didn't grab that. You know what I do? Like, Jordan, let's do this now. Let's put up the page. This is something that I don't even know who created this opportunity here for us. But this is your best bet to get all of the stochastic goodness. So as you can see here, we've got all the sports books lined up. The same deal goes here for the DFS sites. So for the sports books, if you sign up, make a deposit, make a wager, send us a screenshot. The whole details are there under the stokastic.com page. But send us a screenshot of that, and we will get you a month of the Stokastic Sims all access when you as long as your bet has cleared. So this is an amazing deal, and you can stack these. So you can do this with DK Pick 6. If you guys haven't signed up yet for Pick 6, you can do that. It'll count towards this. You can get through DK Pick 6 in the description below us here, but you can get on any of these books here. Jordan will drop that link into chat as well, because Jordan is super helpful. That is why he's the best producer in the business. Not only the best producer named Jordan Klein, but he's the best producer in the business. But look at this. If you signed up for 4 or 5 of these that you're not already signed up for, and some of these are obscure, you can get 4 or 5 months stacked. So you can get some serious value out of this. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about that before we get into the silliness here. That is the Dallas Cowboys. So we don't really know what's going to happen with the backfield. The San Francisco's allowing about 113 rushing yards per game. The Cowboys are averaging 77. That is a league low, 77 yards per game. But wait, it gets worse. They're averaging 3.5 yards per carry, the Cowboys are. That's not going to get any better with Elliott and Dalvin Cook running in quicksand while carrying, a mule on the back of them, their shoulders. This is just not going to be a good situation here. Do we get some dump off passes to them? Maybe, but we haven't really seen a lot of that yet. But when we're looking at the salaries, the fantasy point per dollar all of a sudden has Dalvin Cook as one of the more coveted plays in the player pool tonight. This is the beauty of salary cap fantasy sports. So tough-ish matchup here, and two slow washed running backs backed up by a fullback. So nothing really exciting there. What is exciting is Dak Prescott, fourth highest salary on both DraftKings and FanDuel, third highest median fantasy point projections. The San Francisco has had his number. I think he's lost his last 3 games against them, including the playoffs. He's had 5 shaky games against them, but some of that goes back to 2017. So it's hard to really count some of that production there. But 2 years ago in the divisional round of the playoffs, he only had 206 yards. And then last October on Sunday Night Football, he had 153 yards, going just 14 of 24. So he has had a tough go, and now he doesn't have Brandon Cooks. He's still got CeeDee Lamb, but the 49ers have done a good job with letting only Sam Darnold get multiple touchdowns against them. He was 268, 2 and 1 pick. And then Geno Smith has the best yardage total of 312. He had 1 touchdown in that game. Now, Geno Smith leads the league in passing yards, or at least he did going into today. So they literally shut down Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. They've done a great job. So Dak has going to have his work cut out for him, but he does have the 4th highest passing total in average passing yards per game here. So Prescott is in line as the multiplier tonight for cash games. There are 3 different players we're going to talk about for that on DraftKings. If you want to take on your old pal EMac, I'm in the $1 head-to-heads there in the DK lobby. Username EMac. I've been around long enough. I didn't have to add anything to my name. Just put EMac in there. How you feeling about Prescott tonight? He's on pace for 17 interceptions.
I like him more than you do, not going to lie.
He's my cover boy. He was ranked number 1 in my article.
Well, because it's a showdown slate, but clearly your points are that, San Francisco's pass defense is good, and no quarterbacks or few quarterbacks have had a ton of success against them. That's true. Teams have had success against this defense, though, and I think you're just seeing touchdown variance as to why quarterbacks maybe haven't necessarily been as good from a fantasy perspective. Dallas can't really run the ball. They can't really stop the run. They're going to be throwing. And he's got one of the top 3 receivers in football, a great tight end. Obviously no Brandon Cooks doesn't help matters, but I think there's other guys there that can step up. And yeah, I don't if this were a main slate, I wouldn't be loving Prescott in this spot, but on a showdown slate, I'm not looking to get away from him.
Right, now I got to double check my rankings. Yes, he was my number 1 player. I put Purdy second, mostly because I figure you can consolidate everything with him, and then CeeDee Lamb is 3rd. So normally I would have had CD first, but he's had kind of a tough go. I agree with you. He's an outstanding receiver. Does a phenomenal job. Last year, basically he led the league in targets, receptions, was 2nd in yards per game to Tyreek Hill. He and Tyreek Hill each had 29 catches of 20 or more yards, so explosive plays. They were number 1 first downs. He was behind only Tyreek Hill. And there's one other category I'm forgetting off the top of my head where he was behind Tyreek Hill. Basically, he and Tyreek were the top, the 1A and 1B last year. Lamb has fallen a little bit, but we've seen production down all over the league this year. I mean, I mentioned Geno Smith leading the league in yardage. Going in today, he was averaging 277 yards per game. That was number 1. I mean, Patrick Mahomes for his career still has a 303-yard average per game. So things have changed dramatically over the last couple of years with defenses taking a different approach with the cover 2, cover 4, and even the cover 6 sometimes, which is just wild. So CeeDee Lamb is pretty solid. He's 7th this season with 77 yards per game, top 10 in targets with 9.2 per game. So he is definitely in line for your multiplier slot. It has just been touchdowns that have been hard to come by here for him. So the rest of the guys that he's going to be battling with, we have the Stokastic projections has 9.5 targets going to Lamb. Tolbert is down there at 5.2, and then it's Kevontae Turpin with 3, Jalen Brooks at 2. That's not great. And then, as you mentioned, we got to count Jake Ferguson. He's number 2 on the team in targets, even though he missed a week. He is definitely worthy of being a core play. But the last thing I want to call out, and then I'll let you talk about the rest of the your thoughts on the pass catchers here. Tolbert did have 10 and 5 targets, the 5 coming last week or 2 weeks ago in that debacle against the Lions, but that's 15 targets in the games without Brandon Cook. And my dog's insisting on coming into them. Take it away.
Yeah, so as far as Dallas pass catchers go, hard to trust anyone outside of Lamb and Ferguson. Those are obviously the 2 main guys. They're expensive. Tolbert has started to emerge as, someone with probably a bigger role than they expected coming into the season. I'm under the field on Tolbert. I get it. I think he's a fine price play. I'm choosing to go other routes. Yeah, as far as Dallas pass catchers go, I'm really just honing in on Lamb and Ferguson. I have a little bit of Tolbert, and then I have a tiny bit of Ryan Flournoy. Not sure how to pronounce it, but he's 200 and
I was going to say, is he the $200 baller that's there?
Yes, he is.
All right. So I hope he doesn't make my player pool here. Hopefully my dog doesn't either. She'd like to say hello to you guys since she's getting old now. So she insists that she has to sleep in this room after dinner. So here we are. Let her go over to her bed. She's going to be 14 this winter. So she's still chugging along. All right. We've got we'll do the kickers and the defenses at the end, but let's turn our attention over here to the San Francisco side, and then we'll talk some construction. We'll talk about a couple more deals that are out there for you, and then we'll take questions. But we sort of mentioned that the Super Bowl window it's narrowing. It isn't quite closed, I would say, but we are looking at pretty much every
I think it's
major
jammed shut.
You think so? Every major skill position player is basically hurt or been hurt for San Francisco this year. So we've got Debo recovering from pneumonia. Was in the hospital for 2 days, including last Sunday when he had to leave the game. Juwan Jennings is out with a hip issue. Obviously, McCaffrey isn't slated to return until maybe week 10. He may not be ready then. You've got Brandon Ayuk done for the season with the torn knee ligaments here. It's just a mess. But you know who also has a lot of injuries? The Dallas Cowboy defense. No Micah Parsons, no DeMarcus Lawrence. Those are their 2 best pass rushers. They're short on the defensive backfield without Durant Bland. Linebackers Eric Kendricks and Nick Vigil are questionable, dealing with the various injuries, as is cornerback Kalen Carson. And then defensive linemen Jordan Phillips and Marshawn Nealand are also out. This is not the same vaunted Dallas Cowboys defense that we have seen be like a top 10 unit over the last few seasons. If they had Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence back, they'd be probably close to that range, but they're not right now. So they're not getting a lot of pressure, but we get to see what happens with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. What's he going to do? He's Mr. Efficiency. What happens now that he's down even more skill position players? What are your thoughts on Purdy there?
Yeah, it's interesting because you're right. Dallas's defense is a little bit decimated. They're missing guys. Obviously, their main guy, Parsons. So certainly doesn't help matters there. My counter would be that San Francisco's offense is a shell of itself as well. It's Kittle, Debo, and Purdy. Ayuk is hurt. Juwan Jennings is out. Obviously, McCaffrey's out. So, yeah, we don't really talk about McCaffrey because he hasn't been there all season, but that's clearly still a big part of their offense. I like Debo here, but he was just in the hospital a few days ago with pneumonia. So I think that this is more about me being lower on San Francisco's offense than me like loving Dallas's defense. That said, from a DFS perspective, I actually love Dallas's defense. They're coming in as my most leveraged player, the most leveraged player in Stokastic's tools. So yeah, I mean, Purdy and Shanahan could carve them, but I think there's upside just in playing this offense that is lacking chemistry.
All right. Goody with this super chat etiquette, of course, says, so Debo's got pneumonia. There's really no kicker for San Francisco. Oh, we'll talk about the kickers. They're on their third one in 3 weeks. There is, but it's their third one. It says, how is Ronnie Bell not in the conversation? That's a great question, but that's partly due to the fact that Ricky Pearsall, their number one draft pick, 30th pick overall, was active last week. I want to say he played on like 70 or 75% of the snaps. He had 5 targets, 3 catches. So he's good to go. What was his offseason ailment? Well, in a robbery gone wrong, he was shot in the chest because the injuries are rolling up all sorts of chaos here for the 49ers. But Pearsall had just 21 yards, but he is going to be kind of the guy. And then Chris Conley ended up with 70 snaps or 70% snap share. Now, he's been kicking around the league forever, right? He's been in the league for like 10 years at this point. His last touchdown was like 3 seasons ago, but he's a veteran. So the next guy up is second-year player Ronnie Bell. You also have 4th-round rookie Jacob Cowing, who does punt returns. And then I didn't look to see if Trent Taylor was active or not. I'm assuming he probably is. I don't want to play him. He's been with Chicago. I forget who the other team he was with, but he hasn't been with the team for 3 seasons, but he boomeranged back this year. So he is in the mix, but not worthy of our attention. So for me, I was looking at putting Chris Conley into my cash game lineup just because I know he's going to be on the field a lot. And I was willing to accept the cheap, 2 or 3 targets and hope he got 20 yards out of it and did something for me. Well, now we've got Dalvin Cook, so I don't need to go down that path. But even then, I still wasn't really getting to Ronnie Bell. In this one, I just think there are just too many missing people. I'm guessing Bell probably, if I put the over under 3.5 targets, you'd probably lean towards the under, right?
I would definitely lean towards the under.
Okay. But it's worth talking about, right? Chaos could happen, right? I thought DeAndre Hopkins was going to have at least 70 yards today. He had 3 targets, 2 catches and 29 yards, and he had Patrick Mahomes throwing to him, and he's veterans, been in the league for a long time. Could Ronnie Bell go nuts? Yeah. Is he going to, pull out his inner Xavier Tillman? I don't think so, but it could happen for this one.
Cedric Tillman.
Xavier, damn it. It's basketball season, though. Come on. Former Memphis, now Boston Celtics back at Boston Place tomorrow. They're going to be hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. I already started writing that article, too. So
if you had Xavier Tillman on the bingo card for tonight's show, go cash your tickets.
Oh, my God. I was giving Laffy screwed up and did the malapropism there, or spoonerism there with the name. The other day, and I was laughing. I was stealing my shtick, and then I just took that baton right back from him there. Crossing sports, goodness. They were doing Josh Naylor, baseball player, instead of now I'm even blanking on who the NFL player would have been. Anyway, back to this here. So I think Bell's in the mix. I wouldn't have more than 5% of him. Could he be a surprise guy? Sure. But what is the surprise? Now, if anybody gets him the touchdown in this game, they're probably going to be in the optimal lineup. He's in play for that, but that's like a 3 or 5% outcome, hence about where his popularity is. But no stone unturned, Goody. So thank you for that super chat. Kittle. So Kittle's been dealing with a sore foot. Quick, can you name the backup tight end right now for San Francisco? Matt and the chat, what are your guys' guesses?
I cannot.
It's not Ross Dwelly. He's in Atlanta. It's not Charlie Warner. He's in Atlanta. Tucker Croft. I think, or Tyler Croft. Tyler Croft. I think I got those mixing up players now. He's out of the league. It would be Eric Sarbert, who is the
Oh
backup tight
yeah,
end.
yes. He was in
All right.
play a couple weeks this year because Kittle
3
was
weeks
out,
ago,
so yes.
when Kittle
Yes,
was
yes.
out, yes, he
Yes.
played 86% of the snaps. So yes, it was Eric Sarbert, who I think at some point, I think he was on Tampa. I think he's played for 2 teams since he played for Tampa, but he's been around for a long time. Since that one game, there have been 4. Kittle's got all 29 targets for this position. Nobody else does. Braden Willis would be your deep cut as the third tight end there. Here's the fun thing about Kittle. He owns 3 of the top 12 single game yardage performances for a tight end. Matt, pretty impressive. He did not
Very
have
impressive.
multiple touchdowns in any of those games. He has 7 games in his career with multiple touchdowns, and 1 game is 3 touchdowns. That came 1 year and about 1 week ago on Sunday Night Football against these Dallas Cowboys when he took 4 targets for 3 catches and 3 touchdowns. You may remember that game, Matt. You may remember that game. So I really like Kittle tonight. It will probably disappoint, but it's National Tight End Day, and this is the last hurrah. So we'll have to see what happens.
Tight end certainly showed out today.
They did, up and down the board. It was pretty amazing, considering there's just been an absolute dearth of consistent production through the first 7 weeks for that position. They did look really good. Like every chalky tight end seemed to do well today. Yeah.
Like that was crazy, and I've never seen a position like that go. I mean, you thought you were dead if you didn't have Kyle Pitts early, and then Kate Otten, Njoku. I mean, Kelsey. Like, wow.
Yeah. So let's see, Kittle. Can he put the cherry on top? What do you want to call out here for the passing?
No, I love Kittle here. I think that he's like Mr. Old Reliable for the Niners in this spot. You know he's going to deliver. They need his pass catching acumen right now, just with guys out. Purdy's comfortable with him. He's my favorite Niners pass catcher. I think Debo probably still has the highest upside, but Kittle's my favorite.
All right. He was buying to be in my cash game lineup. I think Kittle ultimately is going to end up in my cash game lineup. So for those of you who want to take me on, I lost even more last week. I'm down to about a 17% win rate in these head-to-heads. So you should be clamoring for these. Thank God I'm only putting out 20 at a time, because otherwise it would not be a good proposition for me. But check those out in the DK lobby. Username EMac. If I end up beating you and you guys need a little bit of extra funds because I took your 90 cents away from you, I want to remind you that if you have $1 more, you can get all NBA content through the 29th. So through Tuesday, you get all of our NBA content for just $1. That is promo code TIPOFF24. So check that out. You get Monday and Tuesday's games. Well worth it. Promo code TIPOFF24. We need to talk kickers here. So you have a tale of 2 cities, as you will. You have Brandon Aubrey, who was absolutely amazing last year as a rookie, was named the All-Pro, so best kicker in the league. This year, he's already been better. He has a 65-yard field goal this year. That is the 2nd longest in NFL history. He made 36 of 38 field goal attempts last year. That was 95%. This year, through 6 games, he already has 9 field goal attempts from 50 or more yards. He's missed 1 of those 9. Very, very good. We want to play him. A little bit of win tonight in San Francisco. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for someone of his ability, but did want to call that out. San Francisco on the other side, this is like the Spinal Tap drummer. There is a new one every week. So in week 5, Jake Moody suffered a high ankle sprain to his right leg, which is a problem when you're on either leg. It's a problem when you're a kicker, but making a tackle. So the next week, they brought in a bunch of people to try out, and it was Matthew Wright who got the start for week 6. He made all 3 of his field goal attempts, made all 3 of his extra points. That should be great, right? Wrong. He hurt his shoulder, so he's not able to go. So that means Anders Carlson, last year, a 6th-round draft pick. Wait, shouldn't he be on his other team? No, his other team was Green Bay. He missed 5 extra points last year. Don't be confused with his brother Daniel Carlson, who kicks for the Raiders. Anders Carlson, not the better brother in this area, but he has a shot at redemption. He still made, I think, 81 or 82% of his field goal attempts last year, so that's not bad. But missed 5 extra points was the worst in the league. Yeah. So he's getting a chance as long as he stays healthy, man. He has a chance.
Yeah,
so,
sorry. Again, I don't love him here, and it's not like they're gonna trust him with their lives, but they were pretty they let the guy who was there last week kick a bunch of field goals. Carlson has shown that he can kick, he has a big leg, if nothing else. He might be a little bit inconsistent, but for DFS purposes, we don't really care about that. I think he's got upside in this spot. I'm sure that San Francisco will be able to move the ball. It's just a matter of whether they'll be able to put the ball in the box. If they don't or can't, Carlson's going to look good here. I mean, kicker is one of the most seamless transitions in all of sports for a guy to fill in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's completely. I mean, people say, "Oh, well, the holder and this, that, and the other thing." And it's like, well, yeah, but come on, not as much. And the holders are usually the punters at this point, and they're all pretty good at it these days.
I'm more worried about will the coach give them opportunities? But I think that Shanahan showed last week he will.
Yeah. I would agree, and that's a good call out. I thought it was more fun to be a little dramatic with this sort of events that has shaken up the kicking position here. On the defensive side of things, and then we've got 17 minutes until lock, so we'll talk about that. Dak Prescott is being sacked 6.7% of the time. That's the highest of his career. His highest rate in 6 seasons. So close enough to being his career. Last year it was 6.2, which was pretty bad. I mentioned he's on pace for 17 interceptions. He led the league 3 years ago with 15. And then last year, I think he only had 8. So it went way down. San Francisco has just 2.7 sacks per game. So not a lot, but solid. And they're 3rd overall with 13 takeaways. When we look at the Dallas defense here, they only have 14 sacks on the season. San Francisco does a good job of protecting Purdy. And the running attack, of course, they only average 2 sacks per game. You've got they do have the 3rd most turnovers, but it's just 11, so it's a little over 1.5 per game. I wanted to just quickly call out, sort of glossed over the backfield here. So you have Mason has kind of become the lead back per se. He's been on the field for 75% of the snaps in 5 of the first 7 games. One of those games he was injured, or he left the game with an injury, so that doesn't really count per se. Through the first 4 games, he had 28, 20, 19, and 24 carries, 3 100-yard games, and he had a touchdown in each of those 3 100-yard games. His last 3 games, 14, 9, and 14 carries. That middle one with 9 carries and 73 yards, that was the game he got hurt against Seattle. He still had a reasonably solid game, but even if we just give him 14 for those, that's 10 less than what he averaged through the first 4 games. So it hasn't really been Isaac Guerendo totally taking over by any stretch. In fact, even when in week 6, when Mason got hurt, Guerendo and Patrick Taylor were the ones they kind of split the carries. Guerendo had 10 carries in that game against Seattle for 99 yards. Taylor had 5 for 16. Guerendo didn't get targeted. Mason doesn't really get targeted at all. He has just 12 on the season. So his salary is incredibly high on DraftKings. It's $11,000. He was dealing with that sore shoulder. That's why they have Guerendo up there at 7,000, because their thought was, well, maybe if they didn't want to give up, even though it's a 3rd string running back, they didn't want it that cheap of a running back out there on Showdown slate. Instead, we get Dalvin Cook, who's a cheap, dusty running back. So Kyle Juszczyk was the other guy I wanted to call out. Now, we don't really need to go there again. We've got some different salary savings here, but he's been on the field for 60% of the offensive plays this year. For the 2 years prior to that, it was 48 and 47% of the plays. So his has ticked up. because they're, obviously they're have had a bunch of injuries, not only to McCaffrey, but also to Debo, right? Who does get a little bit of work in the backfield, etc. So Juszczyk, everybody thinks, oh yeah, he's going to get a bunch of touches. He has 17 targets already this season. That ties him for last year. That's not that many. That's not that many at all. He has, in his 115 games for San Francisco, regular season games, he only has 57 carries for 206 yards. He's averaging just over 2 rushing yards per game as a San Francisco 49er. He's got a few touchdowns, but it's not a lot of rushing. And then he's averaging about 2 targets a game in that time frame. Do you remember which team he played for before he was a San Francisco 49er?
That's a good one.
I didn't know until I looked today. I would have got this wrong.
Man.
He was a Pro Bowler in his final season against one of your division rivals.
Why did I say the Ravens? Yeah.
It's the Ravens.
Yeah, I knew it was the Ravens. Yeah.
But then they could get Patrick Ricard, the 306-pound offensive lineman, masquerading as a fullback. But yeah, Juszczyk has been the football Pro Bowler every year since his final season with the Ravens. So anyway, thought that was interesting. But when we look at that, that's not a lot of volume at all. He did have that touchdown. Was that one in the Super Bowl? Or one of the playoff games? I forget. He had a touchdown reception. But
it does seem like they've been giving him more work this year.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. So he's kind of a pseudo tight end, national tight end. Maybe he's going to share the glory there with Kittle. All right, that gets us through. We got 12 minutes left. That gets us through all of the key analysis. Now that we've talked through everybody, who are your top 3 captains?
My top 3 captains are Kittle, CD, and Mason. And the more we talk about this game, man, I don't know how San Fran doesn't just roll here.
Wait, I thought you said it was going to be.
I still do like Dallas. Like, I do. I don't think I'm going to touch the game from a betting perspective, but on paper, San Fran should roll in this spot. At home, Dallas stinks.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I'm liking the quarterbacks and Kittle and Lamb. Those would be my 4. I'm kind of expanding it there, but I don't have a super strong lean on any of them. So I'm curious to see how this plays out here with my Sims. I'm just going to enter my last lineup there. Download my lineups. Let's take a peek here at the Sims for me. Jordan's been putting those up on the screen, which is always helpful. Of course, you guys can get the Sims, as we mentioned, if you sign up through one of the sports books on that link join. Jordan can drop that into chat again, but that is a way each one you sign up for that you're not already signed up for gets you 1 month of the Sims. Pretty good deal. You want to check that out. The other thing you want to remember is promo code everything. Literally promo code everything will get you 10% off for life. For life. In perpetuity, if you sign up for an all access package. As long as you don't change that package, your subscription price will be frozen in time with that 10% discount. It's a pretty good deal. You want to check that out. Let me play 100 lineups tonight here, Matt. Let's take a peek here at what we're getting. I'm double the field with Brock Purdy I've got 26% captain. I'm double the field with Kittle. I have 13. I am even essentially with CD Lamb. I am even with Debo Samuel. I'm okay with all of that. I'm backing off a little bit of Jordan Mason. I'd like to come in about half of the field. Ricky Pearsall's popping up there. Okay, I'm good with all of those.
Yeah, Pearsall's really starting to pop for me.
That's kind of the interesting thing. And he's $12 on Yahoo if anybody still plays on that site. Just throw that up there. I'm going to look at my exposure page here and see if I'm over or under leveraged on anybody in particular. Dalvin Cook, I'm at 45%. We have the field coming in at 20%. My guess is the field will be closer to 30. It's hard to tell because some of that's going to consolidate away from Turpin. or Jalen Brooks potentially from the Cowboys as well. But then that means their popularity is going to go down from what we're showing
Right.
here probably. So it makes them kind of a better play, right? And remember, the projections are always kind of in flux leading up to lock, because it can tend to be a circular thing, right? We're checking, seeing what the rest of the big providers are doing in the industry. They're figuring out what we're doing, who's got most of the market, right? There's a whole game within the game going on with all of this. So it can be rather chaotic, to say the least. But looks like I'm very high on him. I'm high above on Kittle and Purdy as well. I'm comfortable. Those are the two guys I'd really like to have. I am about even with Jordan Mason, so I'm willing to go down on captain, but stay even in the flex. And then Pearsall, I'm going to give him a little bump here, just because I'd like to be a little bit above the field on that. Oh, I guess I am. I have 29% and they have 26. So that works. All right, let me unfavorite, refavorite, and export those. We have 6. Oh, we have 8 minutes left. All righty. Oh, kickers. I wanted to see where I was on kickers. Somebody just pinged me about that. So Anders. Anders Carlson. I need to change that because I want to be above the field on both. I came in at 5% above. I'm going to give them each a 10% boost. That'll probably get me it to about 27 or 28% of Aubrey and about 23% of Anders Carlson. So that would be my last adjustment here. And let's export that one. Let's do entries here. Let's see if anybody's asking any questions here. Oh shit, Red Skittles did something. Let's see what he did. Red Skittle says, 4th place in the millie. Holy shit. Would have taken it down with if Sutton had scored instead of fumbling at the 1 place short.
Oh my God, I see that right now, and I see a Stokastic member took it down.
Oh, yeah. Oh my, no. Ben Ross has said that was going to happen on the show today.
Yeah, Rick 12324 took it down, and man, Red Skittles. 4th place for Red Skittles, 25K, about 2.5 points out of first. Hell of a job.
Yeah, way to go, Red Skittles. He is always in chat.
That is a lineup. Let me list you this lineup. Bo Nix, Josh Jacobs, Devin Achane, Khalif Shakir with a 22 spot, Jamar Chase, Ced Tillman, Travis Kelce, Cortland Sutton, Falcons D. Didn't even have Otten. It just shows you what kind of day it was.
Yeah, that's very good. Way to go there, Red Skittles. You can be proud of that one. Hang that one on your wall. I know it just missed the Hall of Fame, but you know what? You're Hall of Fame in my book. All righty. Let me get these uploaded. I see there's still 5 more lineups of team free money. That is username EMac there in the DK lobby. If you want to live high on the hog and take money away from me 80 cents at a time or 90 cents at a time, that is the way to do it, because I am bad this year at the cash games, which is shocking. Oh God, Dalvin Cook. Jesus, Dalvin Cook captain lineups. That's gonna leave a mark.
I think I would be higher on Cook if there weren't there's a bunch of mid-range plays that are good plays today. So I think there's certainly a place for Cook on this slate. He's 1K. We've got CD, Kittle, Debo. But then we also got 2 kickers, one of which is the best kicker in football in Aubrey. We've got Ricky Pearsall, the Jalen Tolbert. So I don't know if Cook is as needed as he might be on some other slates, but again, 1K, maybe he's found the fountain of youth.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm still just looking at the Red Skittles thing. That is so great. That is so great. Yes, that's right, Doug Dubs. The EMac Hall of Fame is far more exclusive than the Stokastic Hall of Fame. Of course, I am also a legend in my own mind. So it's a party of 2 in the pantheon of the EMac Hall of Fame here. Doug Dubs, nice. Maybe his brother, Daniel Carlson, can fly from Vegas to San Francisco and step in for this game. All right, 4 minutes to go. Oh, Shamar Glaspie, he won $40 in the Millie Maker. There we go, baby. Yeah, green is good. Green is good. Look at that. I'm even more excited for you than I was for Red Skittles. Nice work there. Nice work there. Let's see. This is actually good. I mentioned a little bit of wind in the game. That was the only thing. It's 10 to 15 miles an hour, according to everybody's favorite DFS weatherman. So not too shabby there. Nothing that should cause us any consternation here tomorrow night. Of course, we have the game in Pittsburgh. It is the Giants going against the Steelers. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Imagine getting $1 million playing fantasy sports.
That just shows you the brutality of that contest also. Like, man,
yeah,
25K is a real nice payday. Don't get me wrong, but like, it ain't a milli.
Because you've done, what's your big, like, you've done 6 figures, or have you done over 200?
No, yeah, I've done, like, I've had over 200 hits before, but that milli is going to hit different.
Yeah. And because I don't play in the gigantic top heavy contests, I think my biggest individual contest hit is like $12,000 or $15,000. So nothing.
You know what though? I'm feeling a 300K solo ship tonight on this showdown slate. So
all right. Well, and we should, and I hope you do have that Stokastic avatar, because by getting a top 3 finish in any contest with at least 5,000 participants, if you have the Stokastic avatar and you send that a screenshot showing the Stokastic avatar, that's the key thing, over there to Stokastic HOF on Twitter, you can get 1 month of Stokastic Premium for free. Yes, indeed. That means you can get the Sims for a month. You can now win that up to 2 times per year, which is a pretty good deal. And then we have 3 times per Jordan Klein, 3 times. Man, by the time you're done winning this, playing the Quora contest, whatever, the mini max, signing up for all of these other sites that you haven't signed up for, you can get 6 to 8 months here. Stokastic Premium. I'm just saying, there's ways to cash in on the game within the game. But check out, Jordan has the different tier levels there: bronze, silver, and gold. I better go check and see, because I don't think Lofty counted my college football mini max top 3 finish earlier this year, because that would have. Oh, you did! Nice. I just want to cobble them together so I can get to the ultimate level here over the course of time. It's the little things in life. I tell you. We are 1 minute away from lock. I did not make any bets for this game, which makes me sad, because when I'm logged into Zoom, I can't go into the old Hard Rock here. But let's see. It's a rough day in the sports wagering world. What do they have for bonuses here? 49ers to win by 7 points versus the Cowboys, 145, up from 115. I'll put $50 on that. There we go, Matt. I'm glad they popped that one back up there. It was at 155, but I'll take it at 145, since I convinced you, and the data convinced you, that perhaps this is going to be an uphill battle for the Dallas Cowboys tonight. But
it should be.
Some may have thought the same thing about the Cleveland Browns earlier today, and we saw how that one played out. So there we go. Let's see. Jordan, that's you. The spinning wheel on the mouse. Yeah, no, it's a shirt from a half marathon. So yeah, I'm wearing long sleeves here in Florida because my wife has the air conditioning on, and it's kind of cold in here as I sit here in shorts and flip-flops, but I put on a long sleeve shirt. So when I walk outside with the dog, it's like, oh my God, it's so hot here. Why am I wearing this? But then I walk back inside and, well, because we have the air conditioning on. So in any event, we're going to get on out of here. You guys can follow Matt on Twitter at Fantasy Tips Matt. You can find me at EMac DFS. And of course, it is Stokastic _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.